All right, continuing on, we just finished with the USA Patriot Act. Now we're going into, and I'm going to start moving a little bit faster because I don't want you to have 5 or 6 videos on your first week. Okay, so yes, there has been decline in police budgeting. In fact, after the recession of 2007, 2008, a lot of departments didn't hire for 4 or 5 and even more years. They suspected that around 12,000 officers and deputies were laid off in 2011 because of the issues with the crash, and that 30,000 law enforcement positions went unfilled. And so what that meant is there were just a shortage. A lot of officers were doing jobs and working overtime and doing things on top of what they normally did because there weren't enough cops out there. All right. How do we know what the normal levels of policing is? Well, as you see at the green in the bottom here, there's an actual formula for that, and it was determined by the IACP, another acronym, so I'm going to tell you what it means. It's the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and they're where police departments get their norms from and get the base levels of everything. And they have told us that the average number of officers that a city or county or jurisdiction needs in order to be normal and safe is per every 1,000 citizens, there needs to be 2.4 officers. So you take how many citizens there are in your jurisdiction, times it, times that they should have 2.4 officers for every 1,000 people, and then go look at that police department and see if they are actually operating at the levels they should. All right, federal law enforcement. Let's go into a little bit of federal law enforcement. So for those of you that want to go into federal law enforcement, I can tell you that generally you want a degree that's going to be in the sciences or in foreign language or in computer science, something like that. You can get it in criminal justice. They just want to see at least after that 3 years of working full time, such as a detective for a law enforcement agency. So I know a lot of cops that that get hired for possibly Ashland or Medford or things like that, a local police department. They work there, they become a detective, they work for about 7 to 10 years, and then they apply to go into the FBI. You do need a bachelor's degree. All right, the United States Marshals were the first federal law enforcement branch to be established. They were enforcing directives at the federal courts. The Secret Service was founded in 1865, and it was originally created to combat counterfeiting of U.S. currency. Now, we obviously know that they protect the president and the vice president, and they also investigate the infrastructure of the United States against financial crime. So for example, one time I went to a bar and somebody had used counterfeit cash. So I arrested the person, took in that counterfeit cash as evidence, and when we went to court on it about 6 months later, a Secret Service agent was there to testify that the currency utilized was counterfeit. All right, we have the Department of Homeland Security. That was something that really changed after 9/11. So prior to 2001, the Homeland Security activities were split between 40 different agencies. And it was created, and they said, you know what? We need to bring together Homeland Security. Instead of having 40 different agencies that don't talk, we need to have one branch that coordinates all different efforts and communicates to all of them to stop terrorism. And I highly recommend, if you're interested in any type of law enforcement, there's a ton of jobs in Homeland Security. If you go to USA Jobs, you'll see all the federal jobs out there, and it's amazing how many jobs there are in Homeland Security. All right, Department of Homeland Security employs 250,000 individuals. Pretty amazing. All right, state police. So all states have some type of state police agency. If you think in Oregon, that's Oregon State Police. In Nevada, that's Nevada Highway Patrol. In California, it's California Highway Patrol. They are deputies, and you'll always see them. They work the highways. You can see how I put highway patrols up there. They mainly work the interstates, and they have those kind of round hats that are round at the top and kind of round. You'll always see them. I know there's a name for them. I can't think what they are. But mainly they do have enforcement powers, but they mainly focus on traffic control. What's really cool about OSP is because of how rural a lot of Oregon is they have an explosive department. They got a lot of different agencies, departments within as well. So we have a really unique state police here in Oregon. There's different special jurisdiction police. You have college, university. Where I was from, like I went to UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. They had University of Nevada, Las Vegas police. They were actually sworn officers. Smaller colleges like SOU, Southern Oregon University, has SOU Public Safety. They're just regular people, as far as they don't have to go through an academy. They're not sworn. They don't have arresting powers. They don't carry firearms, but they do public safety type things. All right, sheriffs and deputies. So I have an old picture here of Corey Falls. For those of you who don't know Corey Falls, he's a great story. He started out with Ashland PD. He has his PhD. He then became the sheriff of Jackson County, has now moved on to a bigger department. So he was amazing. But your sheriffs provide services to the counties. Sheriffs are the only elected police officials still in existence today. Okay, so if you have someone and someone says, I work for a city, such as Ashland Police, Ashland's a city, or Central Point Police, or Talent Police, that's a city. They're going to have a chief of police. That chief of police is hired by the city manager. That's their boss, the city manager and the city council of that city. Whereas your sheriff are elected by the people, and sheriffs are over counties. You need to know those two differences. All right, in 2008, there were 3,063 sheriff's offices still operating in the U.S., and I think you need to remember that. All right, so sheriffs are just like officers for cities. They do patrol, criminal investigation, traffic, accidents, but additional duties sometimes have to do with the courthouse, because a lot of times your sheriff departments run the correctional or detention facility as well. Not always. Where I was an officer in Las Vegas, we had our own, we were a city, North Las Vegas Police Department, we had our own correctional facility. But most of the time a lot of times it is your counties and your sheriff departments that run the detention center and also run the courts. So therefore they do a lot of other things as well. All right, in most counties, the sheriff is responsible for the jail, the supervision of inmates, and the transportation of inmates to court. So you do want to remember that. All right, and then you have auxiliary reserve and special police, generally part-time, generally volunteer. Training's really important. A lot of times they're retired officers and only want to work 10 or 20 hours a week, so they come back and volunteer. You also have conservation and game wardens. A lot of time this is under federal policing, and a lot of times it's not. It just depends on whether it's a state or federal jurisdiction. Tribal police officer. As of 2008, American Indian tribes operated 178 law enforcement agencies. So they're just like any other police department, except they're tribal police officers. All right, there's a great deal of jurisdictional overlap. Just like I said, if you mail something to me in the mail, it's to Ashland, but if I call the police, it's Jackson County. So jurisdiction is always important, because that determines on who's going to investigate the crime that occurs, if there's any follow-up, what court it's going to go to. So you always want to know, the first thing cops do, other than the safety of someone when they respond to a call, is, am I in the right jurisdiction? Should I be handling this, or should another department be handling it? All right, if you look at Oregon, look at all those jurisdictions. Those are all different jurisdictions. All right, this ends our first week of videos. If you have any questions, email me. Of course, make sure you include this class and what term you're in. All right, thanks. Have a great week.